Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday, the day after the Fed. I hope it finds you well. Here's the good news. Tomorrow is Friday. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And yesterday, I'll say this. Jay Powell may have been at his very best. And what I mean by that was, man, was that a snoozer. The guy put me right to sleep, which is really what you kind of want. He's not known for that. He usually bumbles around and scares everybody. But this was, they raised rates. By the way, I guess start with that. They raised rates, 1/4 point, and said, hey, from here on out, Jason, it's all about the data and nothing other than being about the data. I'm not worried about anything but the data.
Yeah, he did set the game in motion for keeping rates the same. You know, he slipped in very small comments about inflation persisting above their level, which to me means they're not going to lower the rates. And then kind of murmured out a few times about maybe, hey, I don't think there's going to be a recession, which another reason not to lower rates, right, Joe? So I think they're setting up for a long phase of no rate changes.
I have a bad feeling that rates are going to continue to go higher because we had a lot of data today. We had second quarter GDP. We had jobless claims. We had existing home sales. We had durable goods. So there was a lot to unpack. GDP, and just how GDP works for everybody out there. Normally, the second and third quarters are the higher quarters. The third and the fourth, or the fourth and the first quarters are the lower quarters, which doesn't make any sense, right? We all know the highest GDP is always the fourth quarter. Well, why do you say that? Well, it's pretty darn easy. October, November, December. Let's see. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. But again, this is where seasonally adjusted stuff happens. We also know the first quarter is probably the slowest quarter. Right? Why? Well, because everyone spent all their money on Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, right? But in any event, just historically, the second and third quarters are better. Now, we know first quarter GDP, remember they said it was 1.2%. And then all of a sudden, like a month ago, they said, oh, wait, we're wrong. It was 2%. They were saying second quarter estimates were 1.8%. And I was like, that doesn't really jive with what normally would happen. But anyway, the number came in at 2.4, way above. Even for me, I'm like, oh, that's not good. And what I mean by that is, and it's bad. It sucks to say 2.4% GDP. That's not setting the world on fire, right? I mean, 2.4. I mean, right? I mean, see, it's not some outrageous number. Remember, Larry Kudlow bragged about how Donald Trump got 1/4 of GDP over 3%, right? I mean, so, everything being relative, but that number, that's a hot number. In this day and age, 2.4% says you got to keep raising rates, right? I mean, that's just what it says.
What would Barack Obama had done if he had gotten a 2.4 during his years? He probably would have just did a victory lap, right?
Yes, yeah,
he would have done
laps, right?
So 2.4 is yep. That's how hold the rates where they're at worst, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's definitely not lowering any rates. That number by itself, you're like, because Jay Powell did say, hey, September's not off the table. Right, and one of the reporters actually just flat out said, "Hey, are we in a every other Fed meeting?" Because remember, they took one meeting off. Then, right, the June meeting they didn't raise. Then they raised it this meeting. So the question was, hey, are you taking September off? Because that's the next meeting. And Jay Powell said, we're not taking it off the table. And he did say, listen, we're going to get 2 CPI reports. And I want to say 2 jobs reports before the next meeting. So there's going to be a lot of data to look at. But this data here, second quarter, now this data can be revised. Like I said, look at what happened last quarter. Right? It went from 1.2 to 2. Now, if it went from 2.4 to, say, 3, right, that's even worse, right? I mean, well, and again, I'm saying worse, but we shouldn't be afraid of it, but we need to be, right? So that says 2.4% GDP says hike again in September. Now, again, we've got time. So we'll see how other data comes, right? Because we got time, but this was hot. Jobless claims. Now, jobless claims, they've been coming down, and most of it is because of seasonal adjustments. The unseasonally adjusted numbers have been the highest of the year the last several weeks. Yet when they said, but the average number was like 230, right? But yet the unadjusted numbers were 270, 280, not this week. The unadjusted numbers, well, they were still high. The actual numbers were down in the 220s, right? So that's, again, that's not what they want, right? They want more people to get fired, not less. But even the unadjusted number, it was the lowest in 8 weeks. So, Jason, between those 2 numbers, that's saying, hey, not only do we need one more hike, we may need several more hikes. We'll get back to the rest of the data when we get back. Don't touch that dial. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Thursday. A quick look into the markets here, and it's a doozy, right? The Dow just went negative, and again, I think the Dow is going to realize, wait a minute, rates are going to go higher based at least on today, right? Well, again, remember, Jay Powell made it very clear. It's all about the data from here on out. And I'm going to say this, listen, we know the big 7 are fine, right? Meta, Alphabet, right? So Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, right? Netflix, right? Tesla, they're fine. But, man, you are starting to see shades of 87, shades of the tech bubble appearing with a lot of these, I'll call them tech stocks that don't have any profits, trading 200% and 200 times earnings. So it's an interesting market. I'm telling y'all, and the S&P, I want to say the S&P, I want to say is right at an all-time high. But I'm telling you right now, you probably want to be leery. Speaking of the S&P, it's up 17. The NASDAQ's up 120. The 10-year note, think about this. Yesterday we were talking about a 10-year note at 3.8. But the 10-year note, 3.95 after the data points. Crude oil, get ready. Up $1.20, $80, $70, well, $1.24, 80.02. Brent crude, 84. Unleaded gas, closing in on $3. So that means higher prices coming to the pumps. I want to say it's Bank of America saying oil's going back up into the 90s. We'll see. Here's the problem, the strategic oil reserve, right? We've kind of tapped that thing out. There's a lot of different headwinds at play here. Gold and silver reacting to the news. They were actually up. There was going to be an update today for everything. If second quarter GDP came in at 2% or 1.9, it was going to be an update. Now they're like, rates are going to go higher. And again, I'll say it again, buy every dip you can. Gold's down $25. Essentially, though, we're right where we were yesterday, kind of, pretty much. Remember yesterday I told you, well, if gold opens up here, right here, $20 gold's going to do this and that. But silver We're going to have a great silver special again today. But it's down 65 cents this morning, and we're going to give you an opportunity here. But if you're like, man, I don't know. Well, I don't know what to think. Right? Joe already said, listen, Joe said he was wrong. He thought that the rates are already going to cause the recession. Maybe, is the recession coming? Is it not coming? Do I want to invest in overinflated AI stocks and cross my fingers? What do I do? Well, we got an opportunity outside of gold and silver. Our friends at Y-Refi, up to 10.25% return, not correlated to the stock market. Doesn't care about interest rates. Doesn't care about GDP. Doesn't care about jobless claims. And guess what? You don't have to worry about looking because you know exactly what it's going to be every single month. You can turn your income on. You can turn it off. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. Invest. YREFI.com, the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or just call them. 888-YREFI24, 888-YREFI24. Remember, you got to have at least $50,000. You can use an existing IRA. Some can use 401ks, but check them out. Having said that, Jason, so we had 2 data points that said, uh-oh. Right? Jobless claims falling, and that's both seasonally adjusted and unadjusted. We had a hot first reading for GDP. We'll see what the revisions say. Then we had durable goods. Now, durable goods, the headline number was big. But here is the problem. It was all defense and what we call aircraft. So, Boeing gets an order that's going to be built 5 years from now. So normally you take that out, right? You say, well, what's GDP, non-defense, non-aircraft? That's the number they'll look at. Now, that number wasn't that great. The problem was the headline number when you had GDP, right, hot, not enough people getting fired, so let's call that hot. Then you see that headline number, Jason, you're like, oh, my gosh, hot again. And then we had existing home sales. Existing home sales, they're terrible. We know that. But let's face it, there's just not a lot out there, right? We also know that. It posted a very small increase. And this was a June number. That was kind of surprising, right? I think it's only the second increase in existing home sales in like the last year. Now, that number could be revised down, right? And it could end up being a negative number, but it's been reported as a positive. Jason, it was a clean sweep for the positives today.
Yes, and I think that states a strong case for another rate hike. However, I think the CPI numbers are going to be what I think they're going to do whatever they're going to do with the rates in 6 weeks based off CPI year over year. And I think it's going to go down again, and how steeply it drops may decide if they're going to pause or hike it again. Because, like you said, all the numbers you give it, if it stays like this for another month and a half, they will hike it. But if CPI year over year starts to fall off a cliff, Joe, I think they pause. I mean, I've been looking at some information where CPI could go into negative territory. The guy that I'm looking at, he was saying it was going to happen earlier this year. So now he's like, well, it looks like it still could happen. If it falls off, let's say we get a 2.5 or lower on CPI next month, and it goes even lower the next month, I think they pause. I think we're in a recession, but I don't think we're going to get recession numbers until next year. Let's say third quarter and fourth quarter shows recession, or at least fourth quarter does. They're not going to want to rate hike if it looks like a recession is forming. But other than that, if the CPI, let's say CPI is 2.9, or even above 3, yeah, they're going to hike it. They're going to hike it. They're going to hike it hard. They're going to hike it a couple of times possibly. But it's about inflation, Joe. And if the CPI just continues to crater downward, which shows us that we're moving to an absolute recession in my mind, they'll pause. But we got some time, right? We got some time before these.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. And I'm going the other way. I think we hit the low. I think we got the low number, which was the last one. I think that's it. I'm watching oil here. You know, oil's up now a dollar and a half here, $80.25, and I'm thinking, right? Yeah, that's one of the easy. You know, that helped really drive things down. And then you got to remember, here we had an agreement by UPS, right, in their union. Most of the pilots' unions have all hit agreements in the last 90 days. All their contracts were up. I mean, you're talking 30 and 40% increases in pay there on the airline side. And then, of course, we still have FedEx, right, and their pilots. You know, think about this. They got offered 10%, and they're like, nah, that's not good enough. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know, right? I think we're in the I don't know camp, and I think the data, at least for one day, this was data that said, hey, we're not done raising rates, and which is kind of what, you know, we've actually had people coming on, you know, Bubba Horwitz, others that are saying, hey, the Fed's going to go to 6%. Jeff Gundlach, they had him on. He was actually on TV yesterday. And he was like, this is another mistake, but I understand why they made it, right? Because the data's still too hot. And so what Jason's point is all of these other, what I'll call behind-the-scenes things, lending, right? Stuff like that, money supply, right? They're falling at a dramatic rate. People being denied credit. Commercial real estate problems. Housing, housing barely moved up a little bit, but it's so low. I mean, we're talking about a $4 million annual rate. That's like 1980s type stuff, right? I mean, that's how few it really is. I don't know. Because I'll sit there now, listen, there's no doubt in the last 4 weeks, everything has slowed down here in Phoenix. But it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, right? So, hey, if you got anybody, you're out of town, and everybody's got the same thing. Going outside, you're like, man, do I have to? Do I really want to? Right? Hey, do you want to go out? Wait, I got to go outside? Yeah, no, I don't want. It's too damn hot. I mean, it's 110 degrees at 6 o'clock at night. I mean, nobody wants to go outside. So we'll see. Right. I don't know yet, Jason. I am sitting here going, this was not a really good day. I know they want to celebrate this soft landing or the no recession thing. Not happening. Right. Why do I know it's not happening? Because they raised rates again. And this data says, guess what? They're going to raise them again. That's why it's not going to happen.
Right. So, like I said, the only piece of that data they need in line to raise again is going to be CPI. But if CPI drops off dramatically, if it goes lower, like some of these guys I'm listening to, they will pause. Remember, the Fed wants to tap dance and celebrate the 2%. They want to get there.
It's anybody's guess. Yeah, it's anybody's guess. I think energy, not good. The power bills, because it's not just hot here. We're used to it being hot. It's hot in most of the country. Matter of fact, the East Coast, the largest utility. Think about this. There's one utility provides power to 65 million people. It's nuts. And they just issued an alert saying, hey, guys, we're you guys don't turn the AC up a little bit, we're going to have a problem. These power bills are going to be huge. They're going to be so much more expensive. Even housing, like housing pricing, and I don't know if this is a fluke on existing home sales. They're really not going down, right? They're just, if anything, in certain parts of prices are going back up again, right? I mean, we said it all along. I think inflation is heavily rooted in here, and we're just living in little la-la land for a little while longer. I think it's deeply rooted. I expect rates to go even higher. I'm shocked. I'll tell you, I was wrong. I thought at 5% that was going to crash it. It didn't. Why? Because there's still too much money out there, right, Jason?
Yeah, yes. So, and I know the inflation's coming back, but things have moved so slowly. And with the Fed, you got this underreaction in 2021, followed by a little bit of an overreaction in 2022, 2023. So it makes you wonder. This is what makes me wonder about the CPI just crashing, Joe, because you've got the underreaction followed by an overreaction, which kind of whips that thing. I mean, is it possible you go to like the 0.5% on the CPI in the next few months before the end of the year? And that would mean stalling the rate hikes completely at that point.
I say no.
To me, that's
right.
Right.
I say no, but I don't know. Good, right?
Well, and if you look at the Fed, what Jerome Powell said on his printed, statement, he's like, well, we're going to watch the data. He says that a lot, but I think in this time frame, I think him being more boring than usual when you watched him, Joe, is really, hey, okay, now we're going to wait and see. Just like I think I don't know is kind of where they're at this moment too.
I know this. They want that to be the case. They want to wish that into fruition. Now, inside of the GDP, personal consumption, that's us. That took a big step backwards from the first quarter to the second quarter. So we're going to talk about that a little bit when we get back. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. $800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. During the break, I got handed a note from one of the girls. I've got a very limited, I've got 75 rolls. That's 3 cases of Silver Eagles. I'm not going to put this on the website. This is the lowest premium maybe in 10 years. Maybe, you know what? Maybe going back to the financial crisis. Silver Eagles, when I first started, going back over 20 years now, you know what the premium on silver was? Because think about, and I want to, maybe we need to spend a little time talking about this. And I'll have Jason or I, we'll do a YouTube video on this as well. We'll try to get that done in the next couple of weeks. We'll do one on IRAs. We'll do one because people are like, well, why am I not paying spot price? Think about what I just said about gasoline. Right, what did I say? Oh, my gosh, unleaded gas, almost $3. Well, here at Phoenix, it's $3.99 and going back above $4 again. Right, because that's what we call wholesale, right? That's unleaded gas that hasn't even been made yet, right? This is when we talk about the price of gold and silver, the spot prices. This is stuff still in the ground. Right? They hadn't even been mined yet. You got a silver miner that knows, hey, in the next year, I'm going to get 1 million ounces of silver out of this mine, and I need money today. I need money now. He can go buy these contracts or sell these contracts, 1,000-ounce contracts, for $24.35. And go, let's just say July of next year. It's $25.55 right now. Okay, that's the July contract next year. He needs to deliver 1 million ounces by July of next year, and he's for $25.53. They'll pay him today, and he's got to deliver that then. Then, of course, what happens? Well, they got to make them into stuff, right? They make them in because they deliver them in 1,000-ounce bars. They'll make them into bars. They'll make them into rounds. You can make them into Silver Eagles, Pandas, right? All that. There's cost to all that stuff. So obviously, the physical price is going to be higher. Same thing with gas, right? Makes sense, right? Well, first they got to make it. Well, there's a cost to making it. Then once they make it, they got to what? Well, we got to pump it to these locations. And then we got to put them on trucks. And then the trucks got to go to the gas station. Then they got to put it in there, right? Right? Everyone understands that. So we'll break that down more in depth on another show. But the premium used to be $1.25 over spot. That was the premium. Of course, silver wasn't even $5, right? It was like $4 and change. And then it went. I remember when it went to $2. We're like, whoa, $2 over. And then the financial crisis hit. And then it went to 4. And obviously not soon. We went to 253, then went to 4. During the last 3 years, go back last year. This time last year, the premiums were running for Silver Eagles between $12 and $14 over spot. That would be our cost, Jason and my cost, right? Then we gotta make some money, right? We were laughing because silver would be $18, and Silver Eagles were between $36 and $40, right? I mean, because premiums were so high. Today, on these 3 cases, these are backdated. We're already the cheapest out there by a large margin. We're going to really, really, really heat it up today. Roll by roll. You want to buy a roll. $630 a roll. Just yesterday, before silver fell today, silver's down 50 cents. They were $680 a roll. So today I lowered them to $660. On these 3 cases, I'm down to $630. If you buy a case, I'll take the roll price down to $620 a roll. That's $15,500 for a case of Silver Eagles. And I would say go back to 07. From 07 to today, over the last 16 years, this is one of the lowest premiums in 16 years, Jason. I don't know if it's the absolute lowest, but it's right there.
It's a great way to buy. It's the premiums are lower. This is to me, when I joined in 2018, we're in a similar spot where this is a great buying price point. This is a great place to buy.
Well, 18 would be one of the years, right? That would be a close one. I don't remember exactly what the premiums was in silver then, but yeah,
because it was like $3. Yeah, it was higher.
Yeah,
so, yeah. These cases here are absolutely. This is stunning. So these opportunities may come up for a little while, and the price of silver and gold may be more affordable here for a short while, but it will be a short while. And then what's going to happen is one day you're going to wake up here in the near future, and the news is going to have some emergency on the television set, and suddenly that's gone. Not only is the price going to be higher, but the premiums will be up again, Joe. So I just can't believe we're selling a roll of Silver Eagles for $620.
I'll tell you what.
It's a low price.
Arlene, she's like a pack rat. She saves everything. So we have pricing sheets. During the break, I'm going to grab them, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to read you some of the prices on Silver Eagles for the last, say, 90 to 180 days. And I know for a fact there's no way they could be this low. This has to be the lowest price. And again, think about it. Silver's close to its. Yesterday was $25. It's pretty close to the high. And the funny thing is the July contract is what silver's in. It's expiring here in the next couple of days. In the next month contract, it's 15 cents an ounce higher than what this July one is. So it's even a better deal.
That's right. So, yeah.
All right, we got one line open, so hurry up. There's only 3 cases. 800-951-0592. Really quickly, in that GDP data, the personal consumption, that's us. First quarter, personal consumption was about 2.5%. This time around, it fell to a little under 1.2%. So that is, I guess, the one bright spot for a pause was the consumer was definitely spending a little less. We'll be back after the break. 1-800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour, a very limited silver sale. If you're on YouTube, you can see all of the sheets that I have. Every one of these is a day. I've got a couple of the last almost couple of years of silver pricing. Let me give you an example. So right now, rolls of Silver Eagles are $630 for a roll of 20. You want a green monster box. Save $10 a roll. That's $620 a roll. That's $15,500. Okay? Go back to Tuesday. So that was 2 days ago. Tuesday. A case of Silver Eagles was $16,750. Right? $16,750. And silver's probably about the same price because silver went up yesterday. And remember, silver was up almost $1. I want to say 75 cents a dollar yesterday. $16,750 a roll was $680. That was just 2 days ago. I mean, I'm just going to randomly flip here. $7.19. Case of Silver Eagles, $17,500. Rolls of Silver Eagles, $710. How about, I don't know, here we go. May 26th, case of Silver Eagles, $19,750. A roll of silver, $790. How about, let's see, I got to do March. I got to, what is that? March, 17,500 on a case. February 9th, 17,250. January 17th, 18,000. Rolls of Silver Eagles, $730. Let's go into last year. Let's see here. November 23rd. Case of Silver Eagles, 19,000. They're $15,500. And I promise you, silver's higher today. That's what we're talking about. Rolls of Silver Eagles were $770. Let's see here. I'm just going to flip through here. 1025. $18,750. You guys you're getting the idea. This is a huge opportunity. I'm trying to find a date. Here's a good one because this one I got. I'll give you this one. Let's pull this one out here. So on Tuesday, September the 20th, case of Silver Eagles, $17,500. A roll of Silver Eagles was $720. Spot silver was $19.15. Spot silver right now is $24.25. Let's make it simple for me. Let's say it's $24.15. So spot silver's $5 an ounce higher. A case of Silver Eagles is $2,000 less, Jason. That's the opportunity. This is why it's such a good deal. And I'll get an update on the next break at what is left. But rolls of Silver Eagles at $630. A case of Silver Eagles save $10 a roll. Case of Silver Eagles, $15,500 at 800-951-0592, Jason.
Yeah, and you might be listening and thinking, well, why are you talking about the price of silver going down? That doesn't make me feel too secure that I'm going to buy something that's going down. But the spot was going up. It's the premiums that are coming down. Right. And the way that you can look at this is things coming back to a normal sales point when it comes to silver and gold, and you're priming the pump. Because what we just went through, if Joe would have gone a little further back, you'll see those Silver Eagle rolls over $800 a roll at one time. And we're priming the pump. You know, unfortunately, when there is a deflative situation and we're going to have a recession, it can affect all asset prices to some extent. But this is fortunate because gold and silver, it's been manipulated for so long, and there's been a lot of buying of gold and silver by central banks and big institutions. So with the spot price up and the premiums down, it's just an opportunity. It's, you know, in every storm there are moments that are calm, and for whatever reason people get all alerted and Twitter-pated and freaked out when the news cycle's going crazy and economic crises are on the horizon, and people start buying as it's going up. But for whatever reason, Joe, people, when it gets slow like this, and you know the premiums coming down, and people are feeling kind of nice and relaxed, and I'm just going to sit in my porch and, you know, drink an iced tea, and life is good. But all you have to do is look at the data. The data says, hold on tight, you know. The roller coaster, you know, we have the cyclone at Lakeside. You know, it's an old roller coaster. It's a landmark, basically. And it starts off pretty quickly with one of those climbs. And there's nothing scary about the climb, except for the people that understand what a roller coaster is, which is almost everybody, that there's going to be this big drop-off. You can relax on that climb. None of the scary part of the roller coaster is happening. But we're heading for one of those drop-offs. It's going to be steep. It's going to be fast. And before you know it, we'll have $20,000 and $21,000 and $22,000 cases of Silver Eagles. You'll be looking at $800 to $900 a roll. And I will state it very clearly a couple of years from now how 2023 was a mirror image of 2018, and it's when you're supposed to buy. It's when you're supposed to buy, Joe.
Yeah. And Wall Street setting up like 87, setting up like 2001, right, where you're just outrageously, the pricing multiples sky high. So, again, this is an opportunity that doesn't come along very often. 800-951-0592. Jason and I are coming right back right after the break. Eight 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour, the Silver Spectacular. 34 rolls. That's all that's left. So we had 75 rolls when we started. There's 34 rolls left. And then, you know, not that listen, our price is so much less. I just went and looked at the competitors. They're still 18,000 and change, and 19,000 and change. And that's for 2023s. The back dates, which these are, I couldn't find a back date case for under 20 grand, and I'm at 15.5. Tells you all you need to know. Right now, by the way, regular price $16,250 and $660 for the roll. So right now I got 34 rolls left, $630 for a roll, $15,500 for the case. You know, we're down to the last case here. 800-951-0592. Again, it was I guess, you know, what you'd call a bad day for the market, right? Because GDP was hot, durable goods headline was hot, jobless claims were down, and existing home sales at least stopped falling. It was up just a little bit, but still up is up. Which just says to the markets, hey, we don't know. We still got time. We got a lot of data before the next Fed meeting. But this data point would suggest that rates still have higher to go, Jason. But again, still a lot of data to come.
Yeah, if they had to make a decision on a rate hike today, it would be up again. And next week, that would be the same decision. But we got some time here before the next CPI. Not a lot of time. We'll have that. We'll have that July number here in August pretty soon, and then we'll get the September number that's for August, a month after that. So I really think, Joe, that the CPI, especially the year-over-year CPI, is going to have a lot to do with their decision. One thing we know, they're not going down. They are not going down. There is nothing about the numbers that say the rates are coming down. I still believe that sometime next year, maybe late this year, but we're going to see a printing cycle. They will start printing at some point. It's going to happen, and I think the rates stay the same, or they might even be making the rates go up. Because if the inflation comes in and has anything to do with the printing of the money, I'll say this, Joe: if they do pause rates anywhere this year, which they will probably at some point, I really expect rates to start climbing again next year when inflation comes back. So you may want to buy a house now if you really are waiting for rates to come down.
I'm telling you, it's a conundrum here. It really, really is. Yeah, I'm baffled. This interesting times. We've never in the history of the country seen this much money printing before. We're in one of the longest stretches, going back to the Great Depression, of a decrease in money supply. For the first time in the Fed's last, say, 40-plus years, where we've been on this downward trend in rates, we're now on this upward trend in rates, and now the interest on the debt becoming enormous, right? And weighing down everything, $1 trillion in interest, and that number needs to grow. I just don't know. It's incredible what we're witnessing, because one day you're like, that's it. You got to pause. The next day you're like, nope, they got to raise. The data has been everywhere. I think Jason has it nailed, though. The CPI data, by far, going to be the most important data points. Jason and I, listen, we're coming right back with the half-empty cup. We've got Tammy Garcia with us. If you haven't heard her yet, she is just incredible. We'll be right back with that. We got a couple of lines open. Get that silver.